The Cosmic Paradox, a grand sci-fi adventure. In the sprawling tapestry of the known universe, countless civilizations have risen and fallen, leaving behind forgotten technologies and mysterious ruins. Yet only a handful of those who traverse the cosmic sea ever come to glimpse the unimaginable wonders and terrors that drift between the stars. This is the story of the Audacious, a deep space exploration vessel crewed by some of humanity's finest visionaries, scientists, and adventurers. Their odyssey would come to define a new chapter in human history, unveiling an ancient secret that threatened to rewrite the cosmic order itself. 1. The Call to Adventure. Captain Alicia Morgan had always been destined for the stars. Born on Earth, she spent her childhood devouring books about interstellar travel, first contact, and the possibilities of other worlds. She was among the youngest cadets ever admitted to the United Planetary Explorers Academy, and her swift rise to the ranks was nothing short of meteoric. When humanity resolved to send its first long-range starship on a mission beyond the charted frontier, Alicia was the obvious choice to lead. The Audacious was an engineering marvel, sleek, sapphire-hulled, and powered by a newly developed quantum reactor capable of generating near-limitless energy. Automated systems largely ran the ship, but Alicia's hand-picked crew, consisting of 20 specialists in fields like astrophysics, xenobiology, diplomacy, and artificial intelligence, would be the real heart and soul of the expedition. Charged with extending humanity's reach toward the galactic rim, they would establish contact with new civilizations and collect data on potential resource worlds. But most alluring of all, they sought to investigate the rumors of an ancient alien artifact, a drifting stronghold that had eluded explorers for centuries. Various star logs hinted at a so-called cosmic paradox, a place where the rules of physics bent in ways that defied rational understanding. Alicia felt the old familiar thrill in her gut. This is a journey I was born for, she thought. 2. The crew. Commander Orion Marshall, a brilliant tactician whose quiet composure belied a fiercely analytical mind. Once a child prodigy in advanced mathematics, he had become the captain's trusted second-in-command. His expertise in quantum physics and starship combat made him indispensable. Dr. Ava Voss, the ship's chief scientist, specializing in xenobiology and theoretical astrophysics. Soft-spoken yet incisive, she had an uncanny ability to see patterns others missed. Her unwavering curiosity and empathy made her the moral core of the group. Chief Engineer Malcolm Mack Rivera, a veteran of numerous interplanetary colonization efforts, Mack oversaw the Audacious cutting-edge reactor systems. With silver hair and a perpetually greasy pair of overalls, he exuded a confidence earned through years of technical triumphs. Lieutenant Zara Kay, skilled pilot and navigation savant. Having grown up on Titan, Zara had a knack for asteroid dodging, atmospheric entries, and advanced flight maneuvers. Her fearless dedication to exploration had earned her a legendary reputation among fellow pilots. Ambassador Kieran Valtorai. Hailing from Earth's diplomatic corps, Kieran was a master of interstellar etiquette and fluent in multiple alien languages. Charismatic and empathetic, he was entrusted with forging alliances whenever they encountered new life forms. Sergeant Ria Batista, leader of a small security detachment. Her calm, level-headed demeanor balanced a fierce loyalty to her crewmates. Although well-versed in combat tactics, Ria hoped they would never need to use force in their discoveries. Artificial Intelligence -7 Australian dollars, Audi, the ship's advanced AI. Housed in a quantum mainframe, Audi acted as both caretaker and guide. Able to process data at unimaginable speeds, it provided constant diagnostics on the ship systems. Audi's voice, gentle and measured, could be accessed anywhere on the Audacious. It soon became more than a machine, bonding with the crew in subtle but profound ways. 3. Into uncharted space. After bidding farewell to the teeming docks of Earth's orbital shipyard, the Audacious slipped into faster-than-light travel. Starlight twisted in luminous ribbons as the quantum reactor warped space-time around them. Alicia watched in the command center, heart pounding with anticipation. They were truly venturing into uncharted territory, guided only by cryptic star maps and second-hand accounts of the region. Their first few weeks were uneventful but productive. The crew charted unknown planets brimming with exotic flora, discovered deserted alien outposts on the edges of solar systems, and took measurements of unusual gravitational anomalies. Each new find was meticulously cataloged by Dr. Voss, who never seemed to sleep, preferring to spend her nights poring over data in the science lab. It wasn't until they encountered a derelict freighter near the edge of a red dwarf system that the first sense of cosmic mystery truly took shape. The freighter bore symbols of a long-extinct species known as the Grenori, rumored to have vanished centuries before. Scans revealed no life signs, but puzzlingly, the hull showed no sign of damage, no meteor strikes, no weapons fire, nothing to indicate how or why it had been abandoned. Inside the freighter's log files, the crew discovered references to a paradox gate. The ship's final recordings were fractured by static and half-loss, but one phrase repeated in a dozen languages: "Beware the watchers beyond the gate." Strange coordinates emerged from the data, which matched the rumored location of the mysterious stronghold they sought. With each new puzzle piece, an electric sense of destiny coursed through the Audacious. For the Drift City. Following the freighter's coordinates, the Audacious arrived in a region of space saturated with swirling purple nebulae and drifting cosmic debris. In its heart lay a massive structure, shaped like an impossibly large spinning gyroscope. Radiant lines of alien glyphs flickered across its surface, forming an intricate pattern that glowed in time with pulses of cosmic radiation. Tractor beams gently guided the Audacious into a docking bay that had seemingly been prepared for them. The crew exchanged anxious glances as they donned their expedition gear. The bay door hissed open, revealing a cavernous corridor lit by a faint, eerie luminescence emanating from the walls themselves. The environment sensors indicated breathable atmosphere, stable gravity. Someone or something had set this place up for visitors. As they progressed deeper into the structure, the corridor opened onto a vast atrium reminiscent of an ancient city street. Towering spires and ornate balconies lined the walls. Strange black obelisks pulsed with the same glyphs they'd seen outside. The entire space looked as if it had been plucked from some advanced civilization's capital and left to drift silently amid the stars. Pieces of advanced technology hovered in midair, drifting gently as though anchored by invisible gravitational fields. Kieran's diplomatic instincts took over, capturing every detail in hopes of understanding whatever culture had built the station. Dr. Voss marveled at the complex tapestry of interlaced corridors, each branching off to hidden labs or libraries suspended in zero-G sections. Meanwhile, Sergeant Batista had her hand on her sidearm, eyes scanning every shadow. 5. Echoes of the Ancients. Beyond the atrium lay a chamber dominated by a towering archway, the Paradox Gate. The structure shimmered with a fractal-like distortion, a visual ripple that seemed to twist the air around it. Surrounding the gate were cylindrical devices that resembled advanced computing terminals. With Audie's help, Dr. Voss cracked part of the encryption on one such terminal, revealing a fragment of text. To enter is to rewrite fate. The Watchers see all. Commander Marshall hypothesized that the gate might manipulate space-time, explaining why local physics behaved oddly here. Max scanned the energy source fueling the gateway and found that it was siphoning power from subspace pockets. All the while, the ominous reference to Watchers floated in everyone's minds, unnerving them. No one could say for sure what lay beyond that shimmering portal. Despite the warnings, Alicia determined they had to investigate. After thorough preparations, backup power cells, emergency beacons, protective suits, the team activated the Paradox Gate. The archway hummed with building energy, the distortion intensifying until it became a mirrored swirl of starlight. One by one, they stepped through. 6. A world between worlds. On the other side, the away team found themselves in a place where reality itself seemed malleable. The sky was a kaleidoscope of swirling galaxies, and the ground beneath their feet rippled like liquid metal, stabilizing only where they set foot. The air rang with what could only be described as cosmic hum, a deep, resonant melody that vibrated through their bodies. Scattered throughout the surreal landscape were monolithic statues of hooded figures, towering 100 meters tall. Their faces were hidden in shadow, and each stood in silent vigil, as if watching the horizon, or perhaps waiting for newcomers. One statue occasionally crackled with energy, and the crew realized that these must be the Watchers of Grenori had warned about. The environment was filled with anomalies, floating orbs of light that winked in and out of existence, gravitational distortions that made some areas effectively weightless, and pockets of time displacement that caused local flora to wilt or regrow at unnatural speeds. The crew took cautious steps forward, scanning constantly and documenting every phenomenon. They eventually reached a platform that projected from the metallic ground, forming an observation deck with bizarre alien consoles. When Dr. Voss and Audie interfaced with the consoles, an onslaught of data overwhelmed them. They glimpsed the universal code underlying multiple realities, and even caught fleeting images of themselves, older, younger, and in alternate forms. It was as if the gateway existed across multiple timelines simultaneously. 7. The Revelation. As they attempted to make sense of the data, one of the massive statues abruptly came to life. The hooded figure's eyes flared with cosmic light, and it spoke in a resonant voice that bypassed the crew's translators entirely, echoing directly in their minds. You stand at the threshold of infinite possibilities. Your kind has never traversed these corridors of fate. Why do you seek the secrets that could unravel your reality? The crew felt a collective chill. Captain Alicia stepped forward and introduced herself, explaining their peaceful mission of exploration and discovery. The entity replied, "The path you tread is fraught with paradox. Each new observer warps the shape of what is observed. Seek knowledge if you must, but be warned, knowledge transforms." The statue extended a colossal hand, within which hovered a small crystal orb. Dr. Voss reached out hesitantly, taking the orb with trembling fingers. In that moment, the orb projected a sequence of visions, entire civilizations shaping their destinies by harnessing the gate's power, only to collapse beneath the weight of contradictions created by meddling with time and space. It showed glimpses of a future in which humanity either ascended to cosmic godhood or extinguished itself in paradoxical cataclysms. When the vision ended, the statue in the cosmic realm began to flicker, as if struggling to maintain form. With a final rumble that shook the shimmering landscape, the Watcher spoke again. "Return and bear witness to destiny's loom. May your spirit endure where others have fallen." 8. A choice and a warning. Scrambling back to the Paradox Gate, the team found themselves once more in the drifting city's archway chamber. The gate shut down behind them, its ancient energies temporarily spent. They brought the crystal orb aboard the Audacious, determined to analyze its properties. Those final warnings, though, weighed heavily on them. The Watchers seemed to imply that learning too much could doom them, that certain knowledge was dangerous, that an unprepared species could collapse under the burden of cosmic truths. And yet how could they not investigate? Their mission was exploration, the expansion of humanity's collective understanding. Captain Alicia convened with the crew. Some felt they should destroy or hide the orb, burying the cosmic secrets it contained. Others believed humanity could handle it, that such discoveries were the key to transcending old limitations. Unsurprisingly, Dr. Voss advocated further study, while Rhea Batista worried about interstellar ramifications if that power fell into the wrong hands. Ultimately, Alicia decided they must move forward, but with the utmost caution. 9. Into the unknown future. The final leg of their journey became a delicate balancing act between fear and hope. The Audacious carried within its hull a puzzle that might redefine human civilization, just as it had countless others before them. On their path lay the question of whether knowledge was inherently empowering or perilous, whether the Watchers had been guardians or mere observers of universal law. No matter the answer, the crew realized their destiny had changed irrevocably. In the days and weeks that followed, new wonders and challenges awaited them, forging alliances with starfaring species curious about their unusual find, defending themselves from those who sought to claim the orb's power, and piecing together the final data from that ancient city before it vanished into the cosmic dust. Through it all, Alicia Morgan's unwavering resolve guided them. She had promised to be a torchbearer for humanity's cosmic future, to walk bravely on the razor's edge between possibility and peril. The Watchers might observe and judge, but it was the Audacious and its crew who would shape their own destiny through courage, unity, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Conclusion. The story of the Audacious and the Paradox Gate is more than just an account of interstellar exploration. It is a testament to humanity's boundless curiosity and resilience in the face of the unknown. The crew confronted ancient powers, risked cosmic paradoxes, and brought back a glimmer of unimaginable insight. Their odyssey shows that every discovery can open as many doors as it closes, that with great wonder comes equally great responsibility. To this day, the records from Captain Alicia Morgan's star logs inspire generations of explorers to push beyond known frontiers, reminding them that every voyage into the unknown is both a peril and a promise. For in the vast depth of the universe, where reality itself can bend, it is the bold hearts and keen minds of adventurers who chart the course and prove, time and again, that humankind's spirit can never be contained by any boundary, cosmic or otherwise. Part 2. Echoes of the Paradox. 1. Seeds of Upheaval. Weeks after the crew of the Audacious departed the Paradox Gate, a subtle yet unmistakable shift hung in the air. Every conversation, every late-night debate in the mess hall, circled back to the crystal orb they had recovered. Its swirling iridescent glow teased infinite possibilities, time, space, and fate itself. Yet the warnings from the Watchers persisted, echoing in the minds of those who had heard their resonant voice. Captain Alicia Morgan had never felt so keenly the weight of responsibility. She spent her nights in the captain's quarters, reviewing star charts and entries in the ship's log, trying to see if the puzzle might piece itself together. She noticed a pattern in the orb's pulses, their rhythm syncing with fluctuations in local subspace. Was the orb calling out, or was it merely responding to cosmic forces beyond her understanding? The rest of the crew grappled with equally vexing questions. Commander Orion Marshall scrutinized every spike in the Audacious sensor logs, determined to figure out if the orb posed a security threat or might be exploited by dangerous factions. Dr. Ava Voss performed daily experiments to probe the orb's properties, mindful of the Watcher's dire cautions. Her gentle approach contrasted with her boundless curiosity, and she often found it hard to tear herself away from her research. Chief Engineer Mac, Rivera worried about the ship's reactor. He discovered new anomalies in the quantum core, minor disruptions that seemed to correspond with the orb's presence. Was the orb siphoning energy, or was the ship's reactor unconsciously feeding it? Ambassador Kieran Valtteri drafted updated protocols on how to approach newly discovered civilizations. The knowledge gleaned from the Paradox Gate forced a re-evaluation of first contact ethics. What if exposing other species to the orb's secrets doomed them as well? Lieutenant Zara Kay caught glimpses of future events in fitful dreams. One moment, she was piloting the Audacious through cosmic storms. The next, she stood on a lifeless planet, her face aged and hardened. She never told anyone about these premonitions, unsure whether they were warnings or illusions. Tension simmered quietly. The crew remained professional, but there was a new edge to their interactions. And in the softly lit corridors of the Audacious, the orb pulsed with an otherworldly beat, waiting for the next trigger in its cosmic chain of events. 2. The Coalition comes calling. One morning, while the Audacious glided through a tranquil star field, Audi, the ship's AI, alerted them to an incoming vessel. Scanners identified it as a cruiser from the Stellar Coalition, a powerful bloc of interstellar nations known for their aggressive pursuit of artifacts and advanced technologies. Captain Morgan called the crew to the bridge. On the view screen, a stately figure with shimmering turquoise skin appeared. Envoy Rayvar, the Herodani species, an influential ambassador within the Coalition. With exquisite politeness, Rayvar requested permission to board the Audacious and Parley. Sensing no immediate threat, but wary of the Coalition's reputation, Morgan agreed. The docking procedure went smoothly, and soon Rayvar and his retinue stepped onto the Audacious deck, their ornate robes trailing behind them. Their eyes glowed with keen intelligence, and perhaps a hint of greed. In the conference room, Rayvar spoke in smooth, measured tones. "We have received rumors," he said, "that you ventured to a place some call the Paradox Gate. You must know that such legends do not remain hidden for long. Our coalition only wishes to ensure that no dangerous power upsets the galactic balance." Captain Morgan maintained her composure. "We are on a mission of exploration, Envoy. Our discoveries remain our own." Rayvar flashed a courteous smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I am certain the Coalition could offer you generous assistance and protection. This region of space teems with those who would misuse ancient relics. Would you deny yourself strong allies?" Diplomatic protocol demanded a civil exchange, but everyone in the room could sense the pressure behind Revar's courteous words. Kirin Valtori gently steered the conversation to more neutral topics, hoping to delay any direct mention of the orb's capabilities. After polite negotiations, Revar departed, leaving a thinly veiled offer. The Coalition would station a task force nearby to assist the Audacious in its research. The implication was clear: cooperate, or lose control of the orb's future. The moment the Coalition cruiser vanished into FTL, the crew convened in private. They had gleaned one crucial fact: word their find was out, they could no longer conduct their studies in secret. 3. Shifting alliances and hidden agendas. Determined not to be cornered by a single interstellar power, Captain Morgan decided to seek other alliances. If the Watcher's warnings held true, then sharing knowledge responsibly might be humanity's best defense against any one faction dominating the orb's power. The Seraphic Conclave, a reclusive community of mystics dwelling in the luminous dust clouds of the Helion Nebula. They possessed deep spiritual philosophies on the nature of consciousness and space-time. Rumor had it they had once encountered a gateway akin to the Paradox Gate. The Corsane Traders, a loose confederation of merchants, explorers, and freebooters controlling a vast network of hyperspace routes. Though not an official political entity, their extensive knowledge of uncharted sectors and hidden enclaves could prove invaluable. The Voran Protectorate, a militant star nation known for advanced defensive technologies. They had few illusions about the destructive potential of cosmic powers and enforced quarantines around rumored cursed sites. The Audacious set course of the Helion Nebula first, hoping that the Seraphic Conclave might shed light on the orb's deeper, perhaps metaphysical properties. Dr. Voss prepared a suite of psychological and energy scans to help interpret any spiritual resonance the orb might have. Sergeant Batista readied for potential hostilities, mindful that not all mystics were peaceful or altruistic. During the journey, the orb's pulses became more frequent. Commander Marshall began to suspect it was attuned not just to the ship's reactor, but to the psychic states of the crew itself. Subtle energy spikes occurred whenever emotional tension rose, like a cosmic barometer measuring the crew's turmoil. Zara Kay, meanwhile, suffered increasingly vivid dreams. She saw a future in which the Watchers, no longer mere statues, intervened in mortal affairs, ushering in either a utopian era or a galaxy-spanning cataclysm. Yet she kept these visions to herself, uncertain if they were prophecy or delusion. 4. In the realm of seraphic lights. Navigating the swirling pink and gold gases of the Helion Nebula taxed even Zara's remarkable piloting skills. Ionized storms and gravitational eddies threatened to tear the Audacious apart at any moment. As the ship pressed deeper, a radiant temple complex came into view, perched atop a floating asteroid city. Intricate spires and crystalline towers glimmered against the nebular backdrop. The Seraphic Conclave greeted them with cautious ceremony. High Oracle Genera, a tall, willowy figure with luminescent eyes, led them into a grand hall decorated with cosmic murals. Painted scenes depicted ancient star travelers passing through shining portals, guided by multi-limbed spirits that resembled the Watchers. "We felt a disturbance in the song of creation," Genera said, voice echoing in the hall's acoustics. "Your presence confirms it. You bear an artifact that resonates with the very weave of existence. Show it to me." Reluctantly, Captain Morgan allowed Dr. Voss to produce the orb from its protective stasis. Its glow filled the hall, casting dancing lights across the mural walls. Genera's eyes widened with recognition and fear. "This is a seed of divergence," the High Oracle said. "Legend holds it was crafted by an ancient race called the Aridi. They believe that all realities intersect at certain cosmic junctures. These seeds could tilt the balance of entire timelines. One might be used for enlightenment or destruction." Over a tense meal, Genera explained the Conclave's understanding. Such artifacts were typically left behind in places like the Paradox Gate to test civilizations. Those who harness the orb's power without wisdom risked annihilation by paradox, collapsing their reality, or unleashing unstoppable cosmic forces. The Watchers, as guardians or observers, intervened only if a species teetered on the brink of dooming the universe. With quiet gravity, Genera offered the crew guidance. Mastery of the orb is impossible without mastery of self. If you do not confront your own fears, desires, and illusions, the orb's latent energies will reflect them, magnifying them until they tear your minds and your civilization apart. 5. Storms of conflict. Leaving the Helion Nebula, the Audacious set a new course. The crew debated how best to proceed. Some, like Commander Marshall, felt they needed to systematically study the orb under controlled conditions. Others, like Ria Batista, urged them to hide it or even jettison it into a star to prevent cosmic catastrophe. Before they could reach consensus, dire news arrived via subspace transmissions. The Stellar Coalition had blockaded key hyperspace lanes, effectively cornering the Audacious in remote territory. Worse, Coalition ambassadors had reached out to other powers, spreading fear about humanity's possession of a reality-warping relic. The result was a growing interstellar crisis. Neutral traders wouldn't approach the Audacious, frightened of repercussions. The Vorin Protector began patrolling the region with warships, seemingly prepared to enforce a quarantine. And the Corsair traders, typically neutral opportunists, soared through the star lanes, trafficking rumors that the humans were tampered with forces beyond mortal comprehension. Cornered by suspicion on all sides, Captain Morgan faced her hardest choice yet. She called a meeting in the Audacious' largest briefing room, bringing together every department head and specialist. "We must decide our path," she said, voice steady but urgent. "The orb is dangerous, yes, but also a gateway to knowledge that could propel us forward as a species, or unravel us entirely. The Watchers warned us. The Seraphic Conclave warned us. But the Coalition and others will not let us ignore it. So we stand at a crossroads." She turned to each member of her senior staff, seeking opinions. Tensions rose. Voices were raised. Yet beneath the frustration and fear was an undeniable sense of unity. They'd ventured together this far, risking their lives and sanity to unlock the universe's secrets. "If we destroy it," Dr. Voss said at length, "we might be safe, but knowledge lost is often knowledge reclaimed later by those less responsible. Could we live with that?" Commander Marshall nodded thoughtfully. "If we keep it, we must ensure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. And we must avoid becoming those wrong hands ourselves." 6. A fracture in reality. While the crew debated, the orb pulsed frenetically in its containment field, responding to the collective turmoil. Unnoticed at first, microscopic fractures appeared in the air around it, like cracks in glass, except they shimmered with prismatic light. By the time Dr. Voss realized what was happening, it was too late to halt the phenomenon. A wave of temporal distortion swept through the Audacious. Corridors twisted upon themselves. Doors led to random parts of the ship. Crew members found themselves face to face with alternate versions of one another, some older, some younger, some bearing scars from battles yet to be fought. In engineering, Mac Rivera watched in horror as the reactor's readout spiked off the charts. If the distortions persisted, the reactor could breach subspace, unleashing an explosion that might tear a hole in reality. Captain Morgan and her team raced to the orb's containment chamber. They found the device floating in midair, free of its restraints, encased in a swirling vortex of light. Splintered echoes of Watchers flickered at the edges of vision, but each time one tried to form, it dissipated like smoke. Marshall jammed a portable stabilizer into the field, fighting to anchor the orb's energy. Dr. Voss overrode the emergency shutdown on the containment unit, recalibrating it to emit a frequency that matched the orb's new pulse. By sheer skill and luck, they managed to tamp down the anomalies, but not before the ship's corridors were permanently rearranged, and certain unlucky crewmen were forced to confront future or past versions of themselves. In the aftermath, Captain Morgan realized the warnings from High Oracle Genera rang painfully true. The orb was reacting to the crew's emotional states and heightened tensions. Left unchecked, it could unravel their entire reality from the inside out. 7 returned to the gate. With no safe harbor in normal space and the Coalition tightening its noose, the crew made a bold choice. They would return to the Paradox Gate. Perhaps only there, in the heart of that ancient reality-bending station, could they neutralize or properly harness the orb. The Watchers, for better or worse, were the only ones who truly understood it, secretly charting a labyrinthine route through uncharted systems to evade Coalition patrols. Zarkay performed some of her most daring navigational feats to date. The Audacious skirted black hole clusters, wove around supernova remnants, and slipped through fleeting wormholes. Throughout the journey, Zara's unsettling visions escalated. She saw the Watchers standing in cosmic judgment over entire fleets, saw the Seraphic Conclave's temple swallowed by a singularity. But she also saw a glimmer of hope, the Audacious forging a new path, one that turned crisis into cosmic harmony. Upon arriving, they found the ancient drifting city in disarray. Sections of the spinning gyroscopic structure were dim, as though their energy had been siphoned away. The same black obelisks that once thrummed with glyphs now flickered erratically. In the main atrium, the Paradox Gate still stood, but appeared unstable, its surface clouded, the fractal glow weaker than before. The Watchers' vantage points were silent and dark. There was no sign of any living presence, only the echoes of footsteps in abandoned corridors. With guarded resolve, the crew prepared to conduct a final experiment. They would return the orb to the gate, hoping that reuniting it with its origin point would stabilize both the artifact and the station. By re-establishing equilibrium, perhaps they could avert interstellar catastrophe. But none could ignore the possibility that this act might summon the Watchers in full force, or trigger an even more dangerous paradox. 8. The Great Confrontation. As the orb neared the Paradox Gate, the swirling energies of the archway flared to life. Conduits throughout the city rumbled as the station's ancient mechanism spun up. The fractal glow intensified, brilliant arcs of energy crackling along the walkways. Suddenly, alarms sounded on the Audacious. Coalition ships had arrived, led by Envoy Rayvar. Their scans must have tracked the crew's jump signatures. Explosions rattled the city as they blasted through structural barriers, forging a path to the heart of the station. Inside the atrium, Captain Morgan and her team formed perimeter around the gate. Commander Marshall readied defensive drones. Sergeant Batista and her security detail took strategic positions behind fallen columns. Dr. Voss and Mac Rivera stood at the control panels, working furiously to align the gate's harmonic frequencies with the orb's output. Each moment of delay brought the coalition forces closer. When Revar's strike team burst in, weapons drawn, the station itself responded. Arcs of cosmic lightning lashed out from the obelisks. Some coalition troopers were hurled backward, while others scrambled for cover. Rayvar, eyes locked on the orb, shouted, "That power cannot be left in your hands." Tension hit a fever pitch. Captain Morgan stood her ground. If you truly understood it, you would know that none of us can control it alone. We can only choose to protect our universe or destroy it. Revar's expression faltered. For an instant, doubt flickered across his face. But the moment passed, and he raised his weapon. Before he could fire, a shockwave rippled from the orb, forcing both groups to their knees. With the Watchers' glimmer dancing behind them, Dr. Voss managed to activate the final sequence. The Paradox Gate surged with brilliant, prismatic light. In a single blinding flash, the orb disappeared into the swirling depths of the gateway. Then everything fell silent. 9. Through the gate's final light. As vision returned, the Watchers appeared, not as towering statues, but as luminous silhouettes floating near the gate. Their presence felt neither threatening nor benign, merely ancient. All weapons dropped from trembling hands. The Watchers spoke in unison, their telepathic voices filling the atrium. You have chosen unity over division. Thus, you are spared the darkest paradox. The orb now journeys beyond, freed from mortal strife. Return to your worlds, and remember that not all knowledge is meant to be tamed. Some truths are cosmic seeds, shaping destiny in ways beyond comprehension. A gentle wind, seemingly impossible in the vacuum of space, swept through the chamber. The Watchers flickered and faded. The gate's light dimmed, its swirling portal vanishing into an empty archway. All that remained was the city, quiet and cold. Stunned coalition troopers and the Audacious crew alike rose to their feet, uncertain of what to do next. Rayvar, eyes wide, lowered his weapon. In that moment, it was clear that neither side had truly won. They were all witnesses to a power that transcended their conflicts. 10. Dawn of a new chapter. In the weeks that followed, a tenuous accord formed. Envoy Rayvar, shaken by the Watchers' display, agreed to ease coalition hostility. Captain Morgan, for her part, shared some of the expedition's data, enough to show that the orb was no longer theirs to wield, that it had retreated to realms beyond mortal understanding. The Audacious returned to Federation space, its name now spoken with reverence and caution throughout the galaxy. Tales spread of watchers and gates, of cosmic seeds that twisted probability, and of a courageous crew that stood on the brink of universal ruin, yet chose a path of restraint. While the immediate crisis had passed, new challenges emerged. Scholars clamored for more information. Rival powers questioned how much knowledge was being withheld. Conspiracy theorists whispered that the orb still existed, hidden somewhere aboard the Audacious. Even among the crew, unresolved mysteries lingered. Zara K's haunting visions, the curious hum that sometimes echoed in the ship's hull, the intangible question of whether humanity had truly passed the Watcher's test. But amid the uncertainty, hope blossomed. The Watcher's final words had carried a measure of approval, suggesting that collaboration could avert calamity. Perhaps, in stepping back from the brink, the galaxy had inched closer to genuine unity. Perhaps, one day, a future generation, wiser and more enlightened, would unravel the deeper truths that now lay hidden among the stars. Captain Alicia Morgan, seated in her ready room, recorded a final log entry. We have seen what lies at the crossroads of existence. The Watchers remain a cosmic mirror, reflecting our greatest hopes and fears. In turning away from blind ambition, we might have taken our first step toward a greater destiny. For now, we return to the known worlds, change in ways we can scarcely articulate. Tomorrow, the stars await, and we will be ready, even if we walk forward with caution and a little more humility. Thus ended the first great chapter of the Audacious Odyssey. But the universe is vast, and its tapestry is woven with infinite threads of possibility. As long as explorers dare to venture beyond the horizon, new wonders and new perils will forever beckon in the silent darkness between the stars. Part 3. The Shifting Tides of Destiny. 1. A new beginning yet unresolved. For a brief period, the galaxy knew an uneasy peace. Captain Alicia Morgan and the crew of the Audacious became symbols of caution and restraint, hailed by some and questioned by others. Word spread of their fateful encounter with the Paradox Gate, the powerful orb, and the Watchers. Scientific councils across countless star systems clamored for more data. Politicians debated how best to regulate the research of ancient artifacts, and explorers whispered of hidden gateways waiting to be found. Amid this swirling uncertainty, the Audacious was recalled to Earth for debriefings. There, in a sprawling orbital station, the crew faced days of interviews, psychological evaluations, and endless requests for official testimonies. Some found the scrutiny more oppressive than any cosmic anomaly they had encountered. Dr. Ava Voss endured hours of pointed questioning from top Federation scientists, who demanded she reveal every nuance of the orb's properties. They pressed her for the still classified logs on the Watcher's final words. Commander Orion Marshall was grilled by intelligence agencies about the near-reality collapse aboard the Audacious. Was it truly an accident, or had the crew pushed the orb too far? Sergeant Rhea Batista found herself in closed-door meetings with military officials, who wanted to know if the Watchers posed an imminent threat. They seemed all too eager to weaponize any fragment of cosmic power. Ambassador Kieran Valtori was summoned to diplomatic summits where multiple star nations, some allies, some rivals, demanded a seat at the table. How could they be sure the Audacious wasn't still hiding relics from beyond the gate? Lieutenant Zara K remained haunted by her visions and found little solace on Earth. Surrounded by bureaucrats and reporters, she feared speaking of her premonitions might brand her as unstable. Captain Alicia Morgan oversaw it all with a steady calm, but tension gnawed at her. She had expected her crew to earn rest and respect. Instead, they found themselves ensnared in galactic politics. And though the Watchers and the orb were gone, the intangible sense of cosmic ripples remained. Something was changing in the universe, an undercurrent of possibilities set in motion by their actions. She could feel it. Too, the summons from the edge. Just as the crew began to settle into this uneasy routine, a startling communication arrived. A high-priority request from High Oracle Genera of the Seraphic Conclave. The message was brief and cryptic, referencing disturbances in the cosmic song and a fracture at the edge of known space. No star nation dared violate the Conclave's territory for fear of angering its spiritually powerful inhabitants. So if they were asking for help from the Audacious, the threat must be dire indeed. The Federation, warily eyeing the situation, saw an opportunity to re-establish trust with the Conclave. They granted the Audacious permission, albeit with strict conditions, to undertake the mission. After all, who better to handle cosmic disturbances than the crew who had braved the Paradox Gate? Within days, Captain Morgan and her entire team were back aboard their beloved ship. The Audacious undocked under the watchful gaze of Earth's orbital station, its quantum reactor humming with renewed vigor. The path ahead led once more toward the Helion Nebula, but coordinates Genera had provided lay beyond the heart of that swirling cosmic cloud, on the remote outskirts of charted territory. As the Audacious entered FTL, the crew found an odd sense of relief. Yes, the mission might be fraught with unknown perils, but at least they were returning to what they did best, exploring the frontier with open minds and cautious hearts. The Watchers were no longer overshadowing them, or so they hoped. Free into the twilight sectors, navigating to the Conclave's domain proved more treacherous than before. The Helion Nebula's storms had intensified, unpredictable gravitational shears popping up like invisible minefields. Still, Zara K piloted the ship with instinctual finesse, weaving through plasma funnels and superheated gas pockets. Upon emerging from the denser region of the nebula, the crew beheld a region the Conclave called the Twilight Sectors, so named because the star clusters here glowed faintly, as though half consumed by surrounding dark matter fields. The space had a hazy, half-lit quality that felt unsettling, even on a starship sensors. High Oracle Genera's final coordinates led them to a lonely planetoid surrounded by a band of teal-colored asteroids. The planet itself appeared barren, yet ancient, with countless ravines and mountainous ridges etched across its surface. Their scanners picked up massive electromagnetic bursts emanating from deep within the crust, forming sporadic patterns reminiscent of the orb's pulses. Docking the Audacious at Precarious Plateau, the crew disembarked in EVA suits. A biting wind swept across desolate plains. The sky overhead swirled with lavender clouds sparked by occasional lightning bursts. They found the Conclave waiting in a small encampment. High Oracle Genera and a handful of her acolytes, their faces grave. "The ground here trembles with energies we do not fully comprehend," Genera said, without preamble. "We sense echoes of the gate, echoes of Watchers. For the sake of all who dwell in this galaxy, we must discover the source." Dr. Voss and Mac began setting up mobile labs. Commander Marshall, Batista, and a security detail established a perimeter. Genera led Captain Morgan along a winding path, heading toward a colossal fissure that rent the planet's surface like a wound. Strange blue glow seeped from deep within. Genera's voice was solemn. "I fear that in casting the orb back to the gate, we may have awakened something else." For the rift below, the fissure descended hundreds of meters into the planet's crust, branching into labyrinthine tunnels. Ancient markings, neither Conclave nor any known alien script, adorned the walls. Every so often, the ground shook, sending dust and pebbles cascading down. Treading carefully, the team ventured deeper. The electromagnetic spikes grew stronger, causing equipment glitches. Audi, the ship's AI, monitored from orbit, relaying updates through specialized comlinks. Even so, static interference made conversation sporadic. The deeper they went, the more each crew member felt a mounting pressure behind their eyes, as though reality itself strained under an unseen weight. Eventually, they reached a vast subterranean chamber. Jagged crystals jutted from the walls and ceiling, each pulsating with internal light. In the chamber's center lay an immense black obelisk, its surface etched with glyphs reminiscent of the Watcher's architecture. High Oracle Genera approached, reverent but trembling. These runes speak of cosmic pathways, of choices that span multiple timelines, much like the Watcher's domain. Dr. Voss scanned the obelisk with a portable sensor rig, noting its composition. Exotic alloys, some seemingly phased in from subspace. The device radiated an unusual form of energy that caused small micro-distortions in the environment. Sensing a pattern, Commander Marshall stepped forward. This obelisk, it's not a simple marker. It's some kind of conduit. The Watchers use obelisks in the drifting city, too. He paused, recalling the earlier crisis. Could this be part of a network linked to the gate? As if an answer, the chamber began to quake violently. Shards of crystal rained down. A colossal surge of energy erupted from the obelisk, creating a swirling vortex in midair. Genera's acolytes cried out as they were thrown back. A wave of distortion rippled across the team, making them momentarily see double, alternate versions of each other flickering in and out like ghosts. Through the vortex, half-formed silhouettes loomed, reminiscent of the Watchers, but twisted, incomplete. They writhed as if struggling to break into physical reality. And from within that swirl came a haunting chorus of voices, neither wholly telepathic nor audible. Bound no longer, undone by mortal hands, the chain breaks, we arise. 5. Unraveling shadows. A sudden burst of energy knocked everyone to the ground. Alarms blared in Dr. Voss's sensor array, and Sergeant Batista scrambled to rally the security team. The silhouettes in the vortex coalesced into partial entities, flickering with glitch-like distortions. They appeared almost like dark reflections of the Watchers. Where the Watchers had felt ancient but measured, these figures felt raw, chaotic, and filled with malice. High Oracle Genera grimaced, her voice taut with fear. There are legends of the Watchers' counterparts, forces unbound, untempered by wisdom. Some call them the Riven, renegade echoes that slip through the cracks between worlds. The fractious figures lashed out with tendrils of corrosive energy, scarring the chamber's walls and scattering the team. Captain Morgan and Commander Marshall drew specialized rifles that fire harmonic pulse charges, an experimental technology meant to disrupt anomalies. Their blasts slowed the Riven, but did not fully dispel them. Realizing that these entities might feed on the chamber's ambient energies, Mac Rivera sprinted to the obelisk. With Dr. Voss's guidance, he began pulling access panels off the alien construct, using a makeshift device to reduce its power flow. The Riven shrieked in protest, their forms flickering more violently. Hold them off. Mac shouted over the clamor. Sergeant Batista and her squad formed a defensive line, focusing fire on each flicker of dark matter that attempted to break through. Oracle Genera joined them, chanting in a low voice. A faint, shimmering barrier enveloped the acolytes, offering some protection from the Riven's attacks. Inch by inch, Mac disrupted the obelisk's energy output. Commander Marshall coordinated with Dr. Voss to create a feedback loop that might collapse the vortex. Meanwhile, Captain Morgan coordinated the entire effort, keeping a sharp eye on her team's positions, calling out strategic retreats and advances like a conductor guiding a cosmic orchestra. Even as adrenaline surged, she couldn't help but note the new threat's terrifying power. 6. A new bond forged. With painstaking effort, the crew succeeded. The swirling vortex dimmed. The shrieks of the Riven ebbed into a warped echo. One by one, the flickering silhouettes vanished back into subspace, unable to maintain their foothold in reality. Yet the chamber had been devastated. Chunks of crystal lay shattered, and the obelisk now hummed ominously at a lower but still dangerous level. High Oracle Genera approached Captain Morgan and Dr. Voss, placing a trembling hand over her heart. You have our gratitude. Were it not for your intervention, we might have faced an incursion of immeasurable scope. Will they return? Asked Captain Morgan, still catching her breath. Genera's expression was grave. So long as these obelisks remain active across different worlds, the Riven will keep seeking entry. They appear to be set loose by the same energies that once powered the Paradox Gate. The Watchers kept them in check for millennia, but now, something has changed. Commander Marshall, inspecting the obelisk's glyphs, theorized that the Watcher's artifact might have acted as a cosmic lock. When the Audacious cast the orb back into the gate, it might have destabilized the Watcher's network, opening cracks elsewhere for the Riven to exploit. Genera's acolyte stepped forward with an offer. They would remain to study and contain this obelisk, but more such devices might lie in hidden corners of the galaxy. If the Riven had the power to multiply their entry points, civilization itself could be threatened. The Federation, the Coalition, the Protectorate, and every other star nation would have to cooperate or perish. In that flickering subterranean gloom, Captain Morgan and the High Oracle forged a solemn pact to locate and neutralize any other potential Riven strongholds before they could unleash universal chaos. Whether the Watchers would intervene, or had the ability to, anymore, remained unknown. 7. Diplomacy in the Shadow of Fear. Upon returning to the Audacious, the crew relayed their harrowing encounter to Federation Command, as well as to other Allied powers. The response was immediate and panicked. The Stellar Coalition demanded joint expeditions, no doubt hoping to gain control of any newly discovered artifacts. The Voran Protectorate instituted strict quarantine protocols around rumored obelisk sites, effectively locking down entire star systems. Merchant guilds like the Corsair traders licked their lips at the chance to profit from new salvage, but also recognized the existential threat. A tense summit was convened on Paxion Prime, a neutral world famed for hosting diplomatic resolutions. Representatives from every major polity arrived, each with their own agenda. Ambassador Kieran Valtteri led the audacious delegation, flanked by Captain Morgan and Dr. Voss for Scientific Council. The meeting took place in a gleaming council hall perched atop Paxion Prime's floating city platforms. Around an oval table sat humans, Herodani, Voran generals, Conclave oracles, and more. Holographic displays illustrated the Riven threat in stark detail. Fleeting glimpses of the shadowy forms, data from the obelisk energies, testimonies from the Audacious and Seraphic Conclave. Fear and mistrust radiated through every debate. Some demanded that the Watchers be forcibly contacted or summoned. Others called for an immediate campaign to destroy every suspected obelisk. A few insisted on harnessing Riven energy as a new power source, an idea Captain Morgan vehemently opposed. In the end, a fragile coalition was formed, a multi-species obelisk task force, with the Audacious elected to spearhead expeditions due to their prior experience. Yet everyone knew the alliance hung by a thread. Centuries of rivalry and suspicion wouldn't dissolve overnight. If the Riven threat escalated, or if a single faction attempted to seize advantage, the result could be a galaxy-wide conflict. 8. Distant fires, growing shadows. Having gained reluctant support, the crew of the Audacious began assembling leads on other potential obelisk locations. They gleaned star charts from ancient archives, borrowed partial translations from the Conclave, and even traded with the Corsair traders for rumors gleaned from fringe worlds. Little by little, a pattern emerged. The obelisks seemed to be scattered along ley lines of cosmic resonance, much like the nodes that once powered the Paradox Gate. Their next target, Colin 4, a harsh desert planet orbiting a red giant star. Old star maps suggested a possible Watcher installation buried beneath its shifting dunes. The team set course, joined by a small escort coalition and protector vessels. A precarious arrangement, as neither trusted the other. As the fleet neared Colin, 4, sensors picked up abnormal heat signatures flaring across the planet's surface. The dunes themselves appeared unstable, roiling with bizarre thermal anomalies. From orbit, the obelisk's faint energy signature teased them. Somewhere in the deep southwestern quadrant, Commander Marshall coordinated an orbital survey, but electromagnetic interference garbled much of the data. A landing party, comprising members from the Audacious, Coalition, and Protectorate, touched down on the scorching sands. Immediately, they encountered monstrous sandstorms shot through with red lightning. The ship's hulls rattled under barrage. As if guided by an unseen hand, the storms coalesced around them, funneling them toward a rocky canyon that gaped like a wound in the desert. At the canyon center, half buried in drifting sand, they found the unmistakable form of another obelisk. Its runes flickered faintly, nearly obscured by dust. But even at a distance, Dr. Voss's scanners indicated a rising flux signature, like a beating heart on the verge of waking. 9. Between war and wonder. Negotiations among the landing party were tense. The Coalition general insisted on destroying the obelisk outright with orbital bombardment. The Protectorate captain argued for capturing it intact to study any Riven incursion. Captain Morgan and Dr. Voss urged caution. An uncontrolled attack might trigger a catastrophic reaction. While the debate raged, strange phenomena began to swirl across the sands. Illusory shapes danced at the corners of vision. Echoes of Watchers or Riven or something else entirely. The more the obelisk stirred, the more reality wavered. Glitches in space-time made some soldiers see duplicates of themselves. Others swore they heard distant whispering, as though 1,000 voices press against a veil of reality. Observing the chaos, Captain Morgan stepped forward, voice firm. We can't let fear guide us. We need to work together, all of us, to stabilize the structure. That means establishing a controlled environment, forging a plan that addresses a threat without risking interstellar war. Reluctantly, the Coalition and Protectorate officers agreed. Dr. Voss and her science team, assisted by the Conclave's oracles, erected a network of dampening pylons around the obelisk. The plan was to gradually siphon off its energy, hopefully preventing a Riven breach. Meanwhile, Sergeant Batista and the Joint Security Detail maintained a perimeter, prepared for any manifestation. When the siphoning began, the obelisk reacted violently. A column of swirling, crimson-hued energy shot skyward, punching a hole in the sandstorm clouds. The temperature soared, the ground cracked. Through the fissures, a searing glow poured forth, revealing ancient chambers beneath the desert floor. Lights flickered from subterranean corridors. Alien technology, dormant no longer. 10. Into the subterranean realm. Gripping weapons and equipment, the team descended through the newly exposed passage. Inside, they discovered a cavernous network of halls eerily similar to those in the drifting city. Faded murals depicted Watchers and Riven locked in cosmic struggle, entire galaxies caught in the crossfire. The temperature was oppressive, the air thick with static electricity that made hair stand on end. At the chamber's core stood a dais flanked by 2 towering statues, one reminiscent of the Watcher's calm visage, the other twisted, perhaps a Riven effigy. Between them glowed a console of shimmering plates that rose from the floor like blossoming petals. Commander Marshall, accompanied by Dr. Voss, attempted to interface with the console. It emitted pulses of data in an archaic, partial dialect of the Watcher's script. Together, they deciphered fragments. Harmony/discord. Lock/key. Twilight paths undone. The seed is cast. The boundary thins. Then, an electrical surge forced them back. Alarms on their suits blared as new anomalies spiked. Realizing time was running out, Captain Morgan ordered a direct link with Audie to coordinate a stable connection. Perhaps the AI could interpret more of the Watcher's ancient code in real time. As the console's runes blazed with otherworldly light, the Watcher's statue flickered. For an instant, it resembled a living figure, a silent guardian watching them with unreadable eyes. The Riven statue, by contrast, seemed to pulse with a black aura, as though eagerly awaiting a chance to burst to life. Unseen above, the obelisk on the surface howled with energies it could no longer contain. Cracks spread across its structure, unleashing localized distortions. The joint teams could sense the entire installation nearing a threshold. A single misstep might open the door for the Riven to pour through, turning Colin into a bridgehead for cosmic chaos. Part 3 conclusion. A universe at a crossroads. Down in the subterranean depths of Colin, for humanity and its uneasy allies stand on a knife's edge. Every decision now carries the weight of galactic destiny. The Watcher's technology stirs anew. The Riven lurk in the shadows between dimensions, and the galaxy's greatest powers teeter between cooperation and all-out war. Captain Alicia Morgan, Commander Orion Marshall, Dr. Ava Voss, and the rest of the audacious crew have become unwitting custodians of cosmic balance. Far from the relatively simple days of charting unknown planets, they now grapple with realities that might reshape the fate of every civilization. The Watcher's warning rings in their memories. Not all knowledge is meant to be tamed. Some truths are cosmic seeds, shaping destiny in ways beyond comprehension. Yet in the hearts of these explorers, be they human, Herodani, Vorant, or Seraphic Oracle, flickers a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, by embracing unity over division, by tempering courage with humility, they can defy the cycle of destruction that has claimed so many before them. For in the quiet intervals between each cosmic pulse, a new choice emerges, ready to be woven into the tapestry of existence. The next phase of their odyssey awaits. a descent into ancient labyrinths and deeper truths, where Watchers and Riven once fought for cosmic dominion. And at the center of it all stand the question no one can fully answer. Can a galaxy come together in time to avert the looming cataclysm, or will the seeds of chaos take root, plunging countless worlds into maw paradox? Only time and the indomitable spirit of the audacious crew will reveal the answer.